Welcome to the One-on-One Partnering Tips from the Experts webinar. I'm Shigato Das, Director of Partnering at Bio, and I'll be interviewing a bio partnering aficionado, Linda Hogan from Colucid Pharmaceuticals, who had 40 partnering meetings at Bio 2015. She'll share her insights on how to get the most meetings and make the most of those meetings. There's no better place to do one-on-ones than the Bio International Convention and other bio business development and investor events, and Linda's advice will help you maximize your experience there. This web panel is sponsored by Inova, your partnering place. Partnering Place puts partnering intelligence at your fingertips. It makes your partnering information easy to find and leverage. It manages contact, company, asset, and meeting information. Use Partnering Place's Meeting Manager to get an overview of internal and external meetings, manage each meeting by being able to upload documents, take notes, link assets, and collaborate with your colleagues, including colleagues who are not coming to the event. Partnering Place connects seamlessly with Bio One-on-One Partnering. Import all of your partnering data in just one click and enable all of your colleagues to collaborate on Bio meetings even if they are not attending the conference. Partnering Place also offers rich lead tracking and collaboration functions. You can have a centralized view of all your leads, collaborate with your team members, track all lead information in one place, including data coming from emails, bio-branded conferences, or Thomson Reuters Cortellis. Speaking of Thomson Reuters, this webinar is also sponsored by the Thomson Reuters A License Conference. A License will be co-located on June 8th at the 2016 Bio International Convention. Join us for the premier BD Thought Leadership Conference right in the heart of Bio 2016. 2 conferences for the price of one. Now let's talk to Linda Hogan, Head of Business Development and Strategy at Colucid Pharmaceuticals, for the Inside Scoop. Hi Linda, how are you? Thanks for joining our webinar today. I thought maybe we could start by you doing a quick introduction of both yourself and Colucid.
Well, thank you. I'm very happy to join the webinar today. Briefly, my background is I spent about 20 years in big pharma, most of that as business development, vice president of global head of business development with Aventis. Then I also spent time in a strategic advisory firm, also focused on business development, before I moved into venture capital. It was while I was at the venture capital company that I started working with Colucid, which was one of their portfolio companies. So Colucid was very busy last year. We went public. We're developing lasmiditan for the acute treatment of migraine. It has a new mechanism of action, and we're very excited about receiving our top-line phase 3 data here third quarter of this year.
Well, congratulations. That's really exciting news.
Well, thank you.
So one of the topics that everyone wonders about is how do you write an effective meeting request? Effective meeting requests are obviously one of the keys to getting a meeting at a conference like Bio. So could you give some tips on writing an effective meeting request, and what's the best way to get the attention of a potential in-licensor or investor?
Well, sure. My personal view is that it's probably best to be brief in the meeting request and to also rely on some of the additional information that's available through the partnering system itself. I think it's important on the meeting request to make sure that you're hitting some of the key elements that are usually used to identify and screen out opportunities. So identifying the product name, the mechanism of action, the target, the indication, the phase of development, anything special about your product that's likely to be a search term or a screening term, I think is very important. I think it's also important to maybe tie in to any previous discussions that you may have had, recognizing that especially for a big pharma company, someone doing the screening or attending the meeting may not be the person that you met with last time. You may want to refer to past meetings or past people you spoke with. And of course, checking the attendees list to see if people that you've spoken with in the past are attending, I think is also critical, especially when you're targeting a big pharma company that may have multiple attendees, 20, 30, 50, depending on the size of the company.
Well, great suggestions, and I wanted to maybe add to that a bit using some of the things we've seen in the partnering system in that, I think what Linda said applies not only for the body of the meeting request, but also the subject line of the meeting request, because these large companies are screening hundreds or sometimes thousands of meeting requests, and it's important to use your subject line wisely and don't make your subject line "let's meet" or something like that.
And I guess one other point too, especially if it is an ongoing discussion or a relationship that you've had over time, focusing on whatever's changed since the last time you interacted is very important. Big pharma companies and people are trying to maximize the time at the conference. So if nothing's changed, they may deprioritize it. But if you've just had some significant event, it's very important to highlight that in the meeting request itself.
That's a really great point, Linda. Anecdotally, what I've heard from a lot of delegates is that, yes, a large number of meetings they take at BIO are introductory meetings, but pretty much an equal number of meetings are catch-up meetings. So catch-up is really something important. That makes absolute sense. So one thing in the partnering system this year, which will help you a little with what Linda's talking about, is something called Partnering Place, which kind of automatically gives you some insight into whether you met with this company before and allows you easily to jump back to the previous meeting and see who you might have met with. So great advice. Let me move on to timing. When do you send your meeting requests out, and when do you generally hear back from your targets? This is something people wonder about all the time. They don't want to get too impatient. They don't want to get too aggressive. But how long should they wait? How does the timing all work out?
Well, I personally try to send my meeting requests out as soon as possible, and usually the priority is trying to have meetings with the big pharma partners. So I will send those out first. There might be some exceptions. For example, if you think that you're going to have a press release maybe 2 weeks after partnering opens, you might wait until the press release came out so you can refer to that or something like that. But in general, I usually target the big pharma requests first. I try to make sure that everything in the business development system is set up so that the company profile, the product profile, my profile, all will match their search criteria. And then I'll go ahead and send out meeting requests for some of the other activities I may be doing for other responsibilities such as market research, competitive intelligence, etc. In my experience, however, in general, I don't expect to hear back from big pharma until very, very late. Like maybe even only a week before the meeting will start. So of course, what that means is that you may have already started accepting meeting invitations from others, from some of the other activities that you're focused on. So you may have some conflicts. And what I do at that time is basically reach out to the providers of the partnering system and try to identify whether there might be some times that we can make available, if we can, flip out some different meetings, reschedule some different meetings, etc. So I've found that the organizers of the partnering systems are really very critical and very helpful in terms of helping actually get all the meetings that you want scheduled.
That's great advice, Linda, and I might reiterate by being that organizer that the team is indeed here to help you do just that, help you with the rescheduling and your scheduling and to ensure you get the meetings you want. You also mentioned the importance of filling out your profile. So there's a profile where you can describe not only yourself, but your assets, or if it's applicable, your products and your services. And you want to make sure you do that quite thoroughly, and also concentrate on the key terms you want people to search on to be able to find you. For Colucid, I suspect it's terms like migraine and headache and so forth. But really focus on making that profile descriptive and searchable.
And one thing that you can do maybe to help ensure that you stand out is actually look at any other product that's in the same space that might be, a potential competitor for some of the partnering activities. You can see how they're describing their products, what search terms they're using, etc., just to make sure that you'll match up and won't be somehow disadvantaged by perhaps the way that you usually look at your product asset.
Okay, thank you. Those great tips. I think I think this year we're going to get a lot more partnering meetings happening because of everyone knowing what they're doing. So what about the meeting itself? You have about 25 minutes. What's your approach? What's a good high-level outline of an effective pitch at the meeting itself?
Well, of course, as we all know, you'll have different types of meetings. You'll have some meetings where it will be the first introductory meeting. You'll have other meetings, most likely, where you either know the person or the person knows the asset fairly well. And of course, the background of the people that you meet with can vary anywhere from someone who's an expert in your area to someone who maybe this is the first time they've ever been at a business development meeting, and perhaps they're coming from even outside the industry itself. So there can be a wide variance in terms of expertise and knowledge with the person that you're sitting across the table from. So I personally think that you need to have, a fairly short slide deck that you'll be able to send out after the meeting or make available, through the partnering system. But I think it's critical to have one slide that's a summary slide of the opportunity. And then I think that you also need an additional summary slide that goes into the science of your opportunity, as well as the commercial aspects of your opportunity, as well as then what you're really there asking for. What type of partnering type activity are you interested in? Is it regional? Is it global? Is it development? Is it just commercialization, etc.? And if you have a 15 to 20 slide deck with these 4 summary slides, you'll be able to gauge the interest and the level of the person across the table from you, and you'll be able to turn to the slide, because you've got to remember, it's not just you presenting to them. You also want to learn about the person and the company sitting across from you, and they will probably also have some presentation materials or a few minutes that you need and should spend to learn more about them, because you are talking about hopefully engaging in a partnership for development and commercialization of your product opportunities. So it will be a two-way street.
When you have a meeting request and it's been accepted and scheduled, and you're going to this meeting, and of course getting meetings at Bio isn't your only job. You have a million other things going on, but do you have time to kind of prep for that meeting usually by looking up the other company, or how do you manage your time in that regard?
Well, I personally rely very heavily on what is available through the partnering system. Of course, most of us will prioritize potential partners and have a good idea of who we're targeting. So we will have already done quite a bit of homework before we even get on the partnering system. So we'll know which of the big pharma companies, for example, are active in our therapeutic area, etc. The homework really depends on how much you know about the company, how much it's changed recently, etc. But you do the long-term homework, before you even start sending out the request. Then what I find I need is to do a refresher either the day before the meeting or the day of the meeting to kind of make sure that I know the recent news about the company, etc. and there I rely a lot on the information that they provide in the partnering system, as well as some of the other information sources that we use just to keep track of industry news.
Okay. Okay. So one of the things you mentioned is having your presentation available in the partnering system. Of course, everyone it's up to them to what extent they want to make it available kind of at large in the partnering system or only to specific people they met with. But the partnering system does support a way to attach rich media such as PowerPoint presentations and videos and Excel files and what have you to your profile and to the profile of your assets, products, and services. So just something for our audience to keep in mind. So you've had this great meeting at Bio. Let's say a potential in-licenser for the stereotypical case. So what about the post-Bio follow-up? After Bio, you've had 40 partnering meetings. How do you follow up, organize all your minutes, and keep track of all your follow-ups?
Well, there are other people that do this, I think, much better than I do. But basically, I think that it's very important as you end one of your meetings that you have a short discussion about what the person sitting on the other side of you, what is their review process? Are they one of the big pharma companies that will have a major meeting of everybody that attended the conference and then prioritize the review process? Will they expect to get back with you in 2 weeks, 1 month, whatever? So having that discussion is something that I think is critical, because it also then allows you to say what you're going to do on your side. So it allows you to say that you're, for example, send your meeting notes, answer maybe any questions they ask at the meeting that you didn't have a chance to get into, set up a telephone conference call, etc. So one of the first things that I will do then is take the notes and then follow up with an email to everyone that I met with, kind of summarizing the next steps. In general, what I do is then a summary document that goes to the management team, and usually in my case to the board of any company that I'm work with, that presents the statistics of the partnering meeting, how many requests, who accepted the request, who asked to meet with you. Then I do a short summary of the discussion points, likelihood of going forward, and the follow-up. And I will take that summary note and have that for the conference and put it in the file that I have for each and every company. And then, of course, I think we probably all have our own way of how we schedule our follow-ups and tracking and things like that in terms of ticklers, etc. But I think it's easier if you try to group it. So if you're telling most companies that that you'll follow up in 1 month to give them time to review with their team and come back to you, then of course you just put a general tickler on your calendar and you spend a day or a morning or whatever time it takes just sending the follow-up notes at that particular time.
Well, great insight into kind of how you get to the next step. Of course, Bio is just the beginning. Afterwards, there's an intense amount of data entry to be done, organization, follow-up. I did want to point out that the partnering system this year has a lot of tools via a integrated offering called Partnering Place that helps you do that helps you automatically generate your minutes, that helps you take meeting notes directly in the partnering system during your partnering meeting. It eliminates data entry for the most part because it's kind of seamlessly integrated, and it allows task management and collaboration, so you can kind of assign tasks to your colleagues and have them all put their notes in there, as well as attach any relevant documents or emails regarding that company to kind of that company, if you will, within Partnering Place, which again is kind of this integrated business development management system within the partnering system. So hopefully some of you will take advantage of that, and that's provided for free as well.
Yes, there's just been really many great upgrades in terms of support for the business development meetings in the last few years, and it sounds like this year there's going to be a real leap forward in terms of support for helping us take care of all the busyness associated with actually trying to uh, uh, do the work that we like to do.
Well, Linda, I wish we had more time today to spend with you. I know our audience would probably love that, but I'd like to thank you both on behalf of BIO and on behalf of the thousands of people who will end up watching this webinar and who will have a better experience at BIO and better experience with their business development in general, thanks to some of your insights today. So we're really grateful for that, and I'd like to thank you very much.
Well, thank you. I enjoyed it and hope to see many of you at BIO this year. Thank you.
Great.